Bienvenida a toda esta audiencia de Criptonoticias. Estamos una vez más en DevConnect, cubriendo ya el último día de la Feria Mundial de Ethereum acá en Buenos Aires, Argentina. Estamos con Tomás de Stanchak.
Buenos días a todos.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien.
Bueno. How is your Spanish?
Intermediate. Not good enough to talk about Ethereum Plus. Okay. Good enough to talk to people on the streets.
And that's also cool. Bueno, Tomás es el director ejecutivo de la Fundación Ethereum, así que estaremos hablando un poco de todo el ecosistema de Ethereum. Va a ser una charla muy interesante. Tomás, hoy.
Very good. So it was a very nice week. Buenos Aires is a fantastic city to be in, and how much people were welcoming for DevConnect, for Ethereum in these days. 20,000 people visiting DevConnect. Lots of positive vibe, like even as we know that some things like TechPP being for it, still people said, oh, don't worry, if it's so great, it's pretty great. So we'll be collecting more feedback, and I think that definitely organizers or come our side did that great job.
That's pretty cool. I would like to start asking you about this. Does the EF have any specific plans or intentions here in Latin America?
So we say when you look at EF, we have to think globally. And this year, we started thinking of where we need more, specifically on the event side. Well, Argentina was decided much earlier, right? So many of this decisions we see are unrelated this year. We're doing Buenos Aires, somewhere else. But the thinking about where the events are, we've heard a lot about being more active with institutions in New York and Singapore as well. So that bar says, well, we're not necessarily there, but we maybe need much more. We pretty much need it there, but we have lots of partners if we can collaborate and give them more space to be active and activate that. But here in Latin America, on the institutional side, we have some visible, so maybe we'll be a bit more active in Brazil and Argentina, in other countries of the regions, and help to build bridges and connections between all the teams and financial institutions that we met in Asia and America, in Europe, and build those bridges. So that's definitely a plan to start building those connections. I think supporting maybe like the vision of at least one major that maybe strengthening the visibility of LATAM, but too much depends on the organizers of LATAM. It was great to attend LATAM in Brazil this year. It's great to get connect. So I would say it's much learning also about the region, visibility of the builders here, so zero knowledge builders, the universities. The university part probably we start activating with more of Ethereum tour style that isn't and collaborating with universities. So I got in touch with a few of them, and probably having next year was like thinking of more frequent and also like some kind of collaborations of the large scale programs.
That is a really good thing. You mentioned, I think, a keyword, support.
Yeah.
What kind of support does the EDF can provide to teams are working here on a team?
Yeah, sure. I definitely didn't want to, never want to sound like we're promising too much, because what we've also decided this year is that our support will be less of a financial support and more of everything else. So the connections, mentoring, visibility, participation of the major figures of Future Foundation Ethereum ecosystem, and building these connections across different countries and regions. So if we're thinking about the local communities, smaller meetups, the exotic ecosystems like Ethereum country, that's where we'll try to help with the know-how, how unique technical capabilities, and maybe advertising through our social media, connecting with DeFi builders and core developers and capital pickers who telling them what's happening. So it's kind of might be a lot of work, but it's not just giving money. So about encouragement of building self-sustained ecosystems management, which means that ideally you would focus on local sponsors, local PCs, local builders, local institutions, because if I think that analyzing RX could be if you just allocate money and there is an event, that might be focused only on the others, only on developers. And it's great, sure, we care about this, but it doesn't bring the long-term success for those developers. So as developers, at the beginning, they think, oh, that's great, we build it together, we're learning. But at some point, they want to move with the next step to maybe starting a company or joining someone locally, or getting a job, like a stable job, or more riskier job. And to have it, kind of create interactions between the industry, between financial ecosystems, within local artists, sponsors, and these are needed as well. And then that's like, sometimes you see the local communities that reject VCs, reject financial institutions, reject government, stuff like that. There's always something that maybe you say, no, that's not how we want to work. But only that's balancing for developers that like being a builder, thinking about public goods, thinking about privacy, and finding the allies and the capital locally as what works. So that support of the foundation might be feeling like I'm saying too much. I'll say, oh, what are your plans for Latam? And I say, oh, we support it. And I'm going to say, yeah, but you're not supporting us without paying money. But it's the thinking much more. We firing really privileged experts on organizing about this. And I mean, the top institutions and organizers to tell you, this is what you could do. This is how you can amplify your message. And usually it works pretty small.
Yeah, maybe one example of what are you saying could be what you have mentioned just before about EF working alongside the University from Buenos Aires. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I don't have the details yet. So I was a few weeks ago, I was coming back from Asia tour, and after that, a few weeks after, we started announcing things around the universities in China. Just now, I think in December, you will have in Beijing at the university, the H tour. So when you think about the delay, and it was like a month and a half, when the team managed to sign everything as if we're doing it. But there'll be a few more in universities. So I think it'll be similar here. And because I don't know exactly how this arrangements will look, I don't want to mention any names. But the team will get definitely information. Look, we spend time in DevConnect, and now we got those connections. Let's do something. Maybe let's support some programs. Let's bring developers from universities. Let's bring those who talk about policy, about mechanism design, finance. Because it's very important to bring not only developers, but everything that assumed is start a company together. I very often recall that small story from my university years where the dean of the IT technology departments now do a force that if you participate in the competition or the hackathon style, you're forced to pick up one person from biology department to be on their team. So the team was about ecology or so. And all that got connected, and something they started winning competitions because they not only had top engineering, but they also had subject matter experts. And I think this is so important when we think about universities. We'll bring people in finance, artists, we'll bring the people who work on governance, and so on. Now, coming back to your questions, what else we can do for support? During DevConnect, probably we saying the founder success team activity. So what they did, they invited I think 20 very promising startups building a Ethereum ecosystem, and a small number of the mentors, like the top people people who already have experience building successful, larger DeFi products, organizations, infrastructure companies, startups, and so on. And they came into this one-on-one sessions, like you start up on one mentor for an hour, talking about the details, whatever questions, and building relationship for the future for support. So this is very targeted and creates a bit stronger bondings for the founders to have support over a longer time. So Ethereum Everywhere team actually does come with a bit of money. Like they collaborate with public goods funding solutions, and Now again, like if I say Ethereum Foundation will probably not provide money directly, but will start working much more synergistically with L2s. And L2s very often they have those directed grants for founders. And might be Ethereum Foundation will come and bring the money not directly, but through the organizations that we're connected with. So the local community still make a lot. Oh yeah, it doesn't help us to know. They probably will say, oh, it helped us to secure money, but we have the sponsors. And that's what we want to achieve. Not always be just built. Yeah, EF and the community, the building connection also very kind of it. The Founder Success, Ethereum everywhere, and they may set up some local hubs that will be all about, again, connecting cross industries, first categories, and we build events that are continuous spaces, co-working spaces with lots of those interactions, hubs, events, invitations, or founders that meet every week. So you don't want it to just me up here for one week.
Yeah, in your vision and taking advantage of you work São Paulo, you are here in Buenos Aires. What do you think, or what could DEF learn about the way people from Latin America are using cryptocurrencies, are using Ethereum?
Okay, so like in Brazil, I had more meetings with institutions, but also talked a lot to founders that worked on chartered public goods, supporting local communities, and also founders that build payment systems, wallets, APIs, and so on. So definitely compared to what I would see in the financial centers, that local community work is a bit more foremost, more visible. So people want to do more of support or underrepresented communities. So I think it's always anecdotic data. So unless we have statistics where we did like large surveys, happen not that much more than this. Then my impression, which might be driven more the idea of as for institutions in Brazil, it seems they are really strong. Payment systems, they push changes to the local licensing regulations. So we feel lots of energy here. In Argentina, massive support. Also, I think the times of transition of changes. So depending on who we talk to, is like the mixture of hope and fear, like it is times of changes. Lots of energy builders that have massive, fantastic education in ZK, in geography, in mathematics. I think a specific Argentina that I might be wrong, but I think a master's program or so is 8 years for the engineering, advanced engineering, and that creates some very, very well theoretically educators. Engineers that create and super successful startups. Also, lots of entrepreneurial spirits from going through like years of changes and challenges locally and having to navigate through very challenging situations with the monetary policy or the economy. And I think many people here proud to be in this environment. I try to show that when you doing this like baptism of fire, and you can go to other countries, other regions, and the successful there, and they're ready and they want to do it. I didn't have that much of this experience from Colombia, and a few years ago, at that time I was kind of like participant, and also do travel that much beyond that in Latin America. But I think there's so much more to learn. We also bring the institutional approach with our team. We have enterprise, where we build those connections between institutions. And I think we can go to a lot of exchanges, local banks, and it's like, listen, I can do it. We can help you to answer questions. We will tell us definitely almost 7 years on the get us power get us along that. So
no worries. Well, you mentioned a huge, I think the huge topic, institutions and Ethereum. How do you interpret that increasingly interest of those institutions in the network Ethereum, in ETAs also?
Yeah, so it's very interesting to think that much of the blockchain, the currency movement was born from rejection of institutions, right? So we've been talking for many years about when we build this successfully, they will not get intermediary, or not big governments, will not meet institutions that And I would say that this message is still relevant. What happens now in 2025, for the 2026, we see a gradual adoption of the blockchain infrastructure by the largest institutions, financial markets. I think that when you look at the last few years and why there was so much friction, why for such a long time there was rejection, there is a threshold point, right? When you slowly get that adoption beyond the level where you can no longer escape it, and more countries start to accept it, because it becomes sometimes a political, right? Like if you start having enough, that's like 10% ripple points to your society, and it means that you're meaningful for a political bargain, and that whatever direction it goes, every now and then you'll have opportunity to embed solutions, and in this it's unavoidable because it's so resilient, and when introduced and brings so much additional efficiency and security at personal building. Obviously, I'm not trying to be here ignoring challenges with security of blockchain, but still, it's like, look, we so focused on our problems with blockchain security that we forget that really the other part of the world, with TradFi, actually bigger issues, and they solve them with massive centralization that leads over again to back against. So now those institutions, how do we find the agreement between institutions and Ethereum for the movement that's theoretically means to dissolve institutions? Those institutions kind of accept that faith. They say, we will integrate. There is a moment of transition, so we'll find opportunities to build businesses around it, which will be probably a bit more Web3 businesses. So we'll bring the Web2 insecurities, and either will change a lot over time, or at least some parts of our operations will change, or maybe we accept that we're disappearing. And I think that even as they say that they're disappearing, probably they believe they dogs, and we have to make it like a very peaceful transition towards those institutions successfully disappear. I'm saying that we deliver the value and we transition into something that's no longer recognized as an institution. And I think we have strong allies among institutions, because we both talk about renewing the risk, the centralization, the counterparty risk, when we talk about security, so low insurance costs, we talk about open source, like the visibility, and no counterparty risk, but it's all.
Those institutions, what are they asking for?
They ask exactly about this because internally they have risk teams, compliance teams, they have teams that do the budgeting, so they will ask for how we can decrease costs, how we can find new opportunities, new distribution markets, how we can decrease risk of our holdings and our assets and our portfolio, how we can ensure security of our infrastructure, how we can decrease the long-term volatility, maximum events, remove those events, and then be resilient to shocks. So they're asking about it, and they work at Ethereum that for over 10 years has been without downtime, operational, whatever happens. And says, oh wow, we haven't seen systems like this. So we can run some transactions, and the system surely adjusts to the spike of fees at the critical types, but they run and they deliver. And the same way they say, oh, want security, and they hear from us, well, the way we work on security at Ethereum, we ask questions about what if someone prepared an attack and tried to spend $100 billion on this attack. This is not the type of questions that typically traditional finance companies ask themselves. And they don't ask themselves how we survive attack from the enemy nation. I guess the asset largest banks in critical infrastructure would ask those questions, right?
Yeah.
And they work on it, and then they can have this like centralized solutions, and as a network, maybe they're much less resilient, because each of them maybe can survive, and someone can also attack the network of different institutions, banks, and so on. So they look at Ethereum, and the moment they understand it more and more, they think, oh, this is the way to decrease our risk levels.
Yep. What about governments? Does the EF have a contact with them? They are in touch with you?
So obviously, like the American government, there's different aspects of it. So there is the competition, but also agencies, regulators, and so on. So the way they approach it this year is, if you reach out to us, we'll respond with expertly. So it means that usually it's our agencies. The politicians reach out to us, and usually what we can respond with. Usually it will be more like, oh, they reach out to us because they would like to maybe get some PR picture and so on. But then it's a bit of a political direction, which you don't really want to express any opinions on. Like, there is internally, externally, you can have different views. So, but we're coming with expertise in answers to questions about blockchain, about HOTUS, about Ethereum, about infrastructure, about security. So that's why we have also now a policy team within the app, and this is to help the policy teams, the regulators around the world to find answers to those questions. Not always from the app, but sometimes with the organizations that are institutions that are locally experts that can answer those questions. So how do we really maybe like extend this in the context of someone takes a picture when you're around politicians? It's not to express support for the politicians. It's more, oh, we were there to talk about Ethereum, answer questions about Ethereum, and talk about stablecoins.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you. And recently, the EF launched a website in which institutions can build tools or where they want to build on Ethereum. Can you tell us about this website? What can they do on this?
Yeah, so it's one of the first stages of our communication with institutions. So we started by simply talking one-on-one meetings and asking what you need. And now we prepared a bit more long-term message with the website, talking about why institutions choose Ethereum with some quotes from the major analysts and CEOs and that's why we think Ethereum is the future of infrastructure, of finance, technology. And then this was the different ways of talking about Ethereum. So it talked differently to the users of the goods companies, different to the institutions. And the reception is really good. What we want to see after that is maybe some sort of certification programs for the local solutions providers, because we hear it a lot from the institutions. They come to the website and maybe they get excited. Okay, Ethereum, I want to build on Ethereum, and now is what they did next. Who did they follow and who can help them to build? So for now, sometimes, okay, they can connect it to your enterprise, to Etherealize, Netmark Gateway, like some different companies around the world to build the clients, all the assessors clients, institution clients. But they have to have someone who is ready to do the commercial work. They work for this, stay with them, how do we solution, understand their systems, integrate. So we want to create a list of companies by country, and it can be regional experts, privacy and integrationable tools, building out tools. So when you're in a institution coming to the website, you can find it and say, okay, you're somebody I love.
Yes. How do you assume the three building and L2 on Ethereum?
How do we solve?
How do you assume? How do you interpret the Swift building in L2?
Oh, yeah. So any infrastructure related to Ethereum should acquire some of the Ethereum properties, and or ideally all of them, which means that it should become more resilient, more decentralized, more secure, more permissionless. You can limit these properties on the application layer. So even as we build neutral network, global neutral network is decentralized. If you build the application layer, you can close those aspects the way you want. And that's why we also have the policies around our treasury. What will do we support? If you can build application on Ethereum that will be entirely permission, right? We can build a smart contract that says to use the smart contract, you have to provide some signature from a bank saying that you're customers. And there's nothing permissionless about it, but it's a smart contract. It doesn't mean that the network itself is permission. And I think it's unstoppable that even the entire financial markets that are localized, regionalized, can be recreated through smart contracts with permission approach. But it's very, very important underneath. There's a layer that is communication layer like internet, but a financial layer where people can by default escape there from any smart contracts. And it pushes so much more, have the pressure on the builders of permission infrastructure that they have to sacrifice some of their preferred body capture tactics, such as like saying, oh, after this you cannot leave my bar, unless we will not have freedom of choosing. So I drifted away from your question, and the question was,
I was asking you about Swift building, yeah, and L2 on Ethereum.
exactly.
What's your opinion on that?
So when you build an L2, you have a bit more control over how you like. So you'd still borrow the security of the layer one, but you can customize it in whatever way. So whether it's L2 or application, you can remove many of those aspects of even the security or dimensionless. So ideally, well, Swift by itself is a bit of decentralized organization, right? But it provides the transfer infrastructure in the countries, and now if they can use Ethereum infrastructure to accelerate it, and I think they collaborate there to put to like, I'm not much for it. That's I don't have no confirmation. So it's great. Probably they will introduce some improvements to their existing network for using Ethereum, and also kind of it should create much more competitive environment. Others will be able to build their own suites, and have such a natural feature of Ethereum that over years it should be this like successful disappearance. The Swift from Ethereum was like one of the last steps where after years people realize that they commoditize it entirely, so they make it not for profit solely.
I would like you to jump to another important topic, price. During the last weeks or maybe months, it seems like the narrative of Adi, the key more private network, was wrong or is wrong. What do you aim for in your perspective, and what the main goal behind the idea of carry and Ethereum network more private?
Sure. So we have at the Ethereum Foundation, with our effort, we have around 40 or 50 people that work on privacy specifically, and the privacy cluster. So this is, let's say, 25% of the we count of Ethereum Foundation. So they work on three streams mostly. So the privacy of reads, privacy of writes, and privacy of proving. So we'll see very soon a lot of deliveries that are very pragmatic as like solutions, particularly for institutions with compliant privacy, for users of wallets. The SDKs of wallets is a project on the side of Kohaku. Vitalik and some of you were talking a lot about Cassandra. So we've seen those presentations that were extremely popular this year. So everyone wanted to learn about privacy solutions. So maybe like everyone dealing with AI nowadays made everyone thinking more about privacy. There are lots of scares that are happening if we're preparing for how they can fight locally from the risks. The cyber criminals, they use now AI to recover a lot of data about you, adapt to you, to use much stronger solutions than it was in the past to be much more threatened. And that's why a lot of interest in privacy. Also, I think that there were some breakthroughs in ZK, or massive breakthroughs in ZK performance, which make a lot of privacy solutions much more viable. So, L2s like Aztec incoming, the privacy coming to different L2s. Privacy agrees, we should have something super nice to announce in the next weeks or nice, maybe the beginning of the next year. So this is all about how you can use RPC systems providers to read data without informing everyone, not what you do. Privacy of rights, transactions, and not broadcasting information about what you're doing. And try to see it first. So this is like all about performance-specific proving, so we can use client-side edge devices or generative proofs. We've seen some references at Starkin side with Stool, but there's also ZPVMs accelerating, so we like Guardians to